Hello everybody and welcome to Paranorms, where we focus on the very framework of the world of the supernatural. Oftentimes throughout Insomnia, I would reference what I call the Big Five: cryptozoology, UFOs, conspiracy theories, bizarre unexplained events, and of course, ghosts and hauntings. And today, we're going to be looking at the last category mentioned. Everybody has heard one, or may even have their own, a topic that haunts us both literally and figuratively, and it asks the constant human question, what happens after we die? Let us now enter the world of the ghost story. What are ghosts? Where do they come from? And are they really proof of life after death? Well, let's try to find out now. According to most definitions, a ghost is the image of a deceased individual which is said to appear before the living. Usually believed to be the soul or residual aura of an individual, they tend to appear as an apparition or a visible image, and most are said to linger and appear in certain locations, usually places they were fond of, places they had an emotional attachment to, or the actual place of death. In the late 19th century, a theory was posited by a Sir William Barrett in an attempt to explain this phenomena. Now known as the stone tape theory, he suggested that inanimate materials may somehow be able to absorb a form of energy from living beings, especially during moments of high emotional distress or tension. Namely, buildings of stone and other materials are able to do this, along with water. The theory then goes on to suggest that perhaps because of this, the energy can be released intermittently as what we call a residual haunting. Many say this is why places such as prisons or castles are notoriously active locations for hauntings, but this still doesn't explain what a ghost actually is. A lot of people are quick to say, well, a ghost is just the soul of a person. Okay, sure, then case closed. But the soul can't be measured, and despite several quick references, one can easily discover that the oftentimes cited experiment by Duncan McDougall in 1901 to measure the weight of the soul was flawed for a number of reasons. Good effort, though. So what could they be? Well, let's take a look at what actually could be the cause of a haunting, or a grounded look at potential theories. As far as energy is concerned, many suggest we look at bioelectromagnetism, which examines the electric, electromagnetic, and magnetic phenomena which arise in biological tissue. The human body naturally produces its own bioelectrical field, so it can indeed be affected by external stimuli. The same concept applies to nature, when wildlife utilize the Earth's magnetic fields to perform various tasks, such as birds flying south or salmon swimming a certain direction to migrate. A popular area of focus in ghost hunting deals with sources of electromagnetic fields, or just EMFs as they're usually referred to as. They can be produced by anything from electrical wiring, powered appliances, to many other things. Did you know that the Environmental Protection Agency actually labels magnetic fields as a Group 3 carcinogen, meaning they aren't entirely sure of the effects they may have on the human body? But according to the World Health Organization, low-frequency magnetic field exposure can cause stimulation of nerves, muscles, and other biological processes. Exposure should be kept to less than 1 milligauss, and symptoms often include anxiety, fatigue, paranoia, nausea, headache, and tingling sensations, or hair standing on end. Sound familiar? Other potential causes for symptoms very similar to these can actually be attributed to carbon monoxide, a poisonous gas with no taste, visibility, or smell, and is very much so dangerous to be around. Sources usually come from coal, wood, charcoal, oil, kerosene, and natural gas, to name but a few. Sometimes gas stoves and water heaters are to blame. What about cold spots? That's usually brought up a lot during paranormal talks. Well, a lot of the time, poor air circulation in a building is to blame. Not to mention, many times it can even be a placebo effect experienced by the ghost hunter or person. Some say the cold is the result of the spirit drawing in energy around itself to be able to physically manifest. The only problem is that by drawing in heat in order to create visible light, it would be the opposite of a cold spot. It would actually create a hot spot, the exact opposite of what is being described in most hauntings, and this just generally violates the laws of thermodynamics. Infrasound is oftentimes cited, which are low-frequency sounds that are below 20 Hz, which is below the normal limit for the range of human hearing, although there have been studies showing that some people can hear all the way down to 12 Hz. These low-frequency sounds can be caused by a number of things, both natural and man-made, and symptoms from exposure mimic the same ones previously discussed with magnetic fields and whatnot. Earthquakes and occasionally severe storms can cause these, along with various industrial machinery or engines. In May of 2003, researchers exposed some 700 people to a concert of music with infrasonic frequencies played underneath the music, around the 17 Hz range. 22% of the audience had all reported feelings of anxiety, uneasiness, chills, and shortness of breath. Weird, right? So could all of these various things be responsible for what we call a ghost or a haunting? Well, perhaps, but realistically it still doesn't explain away the vast majority of stories of extraordinary encounters. Perhaps we'll need to look further into these matters. So stay tuned for part 2.